The quote is, "You will hear from us with astonishment. You ought to hear from us with horror. You are chargeable before God and man with our blood. The soldiers are but passive instruments, mere machines, neither moral nor voluntary agents in our destruction, more than the leaden pellets with which we were wounded. You were a free agent. You acted coolly, with all that premeditated malice, not against us in particular, but against the people in general, which in sight of the law is an ingredient in the composition of murder. You will hear from us further hereafter."
Okay, well, in that first part, he's talking about the chargeable before God and man, with the blood, I think that's what it said. So,
Well, saying with the blood implies that people are being hurt.
Yeah, so pretty much means people are being injured.
And then and then adding that with the chargeable before God and man implies that they're only committing what he sees
pretty much as a crime. Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm.
And that it's like bad crime if you're bringing up like God and stuff.
Yeah, it's sinful. It's what he's talking about. I believe he's talking about when he says that it's a sin against God, because he's, before God, hey, God is watching you. This is a sin to be hurting people, injuring people. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Then going back up to, "You will hear from us with astonishment. You ought to hear from us with horror."
Yeah, horror is another word.
It's like saying that they're astonished by whatever that they're doing.
They're very
this.
They're very surprised.
I'll tell you later. Who's this about?
Okay, well,
like,
definitely.
It should be.
Intrigued.
It's like saying that they're astonished by their current actions, but it should be horrific because people are being at least implied hurt, killed, injured, something of the like.
Blood has to do something to do with being injured or hurt or dying. So yeah, I would see that.
All right, moving on. "The soldiers are but passive instruments, mere machines, neither moral nor voluntary agents in our destruction, more than the leaden pellets with which we were wounded." Oh, see, were wounded. Were.
Yeah, were. See, well, that implies, I believe, that they're being, of course, being injured, but they're also being used. They're also
soldiers?
Yes, they're also being used as it says, as instruments, as tools, as machines. And they're being hit with these pellets. So yeah, that's another big thing of them being hurt and injured and dying possibly.
Like, it's when it says nor moral nor voluntary agents implies that like this, like you said, they're tools. The soldiers aren't
like machines.
Like the soldiers aren't doing it of their own free will. It's more like they're following orders of someone else.
Yes, like being told, like, by the commander or general, whichever.
Yeah. Which also makes sense when I tell you around the time period of when it was said.
Oh no.
Okay, next part.
That makes sense.
Next part. "You were a free agent. You acted coolly with all that premeditated malice, not against us in particular, but against the people in general, which in sight of the law is an ingredient in the composition of murder."
Yes. Now, them acting coolly and unbothered, malice especially, that is a strong word for anyone to kind of have that kind of feeling.
And add it with premeditated.
Yeah, like murder.
Implies that it's like, premeditated implies like what? Like it's, how do you explain it?
It was planned.
It was planned. It was thought out. Like it was something that they had thought of before.
Yeah.
It's like a hatred. It's like
they
knew what they were doing. Especially like free agent. Like he this guy, whoever you is, what I'll say, is making the orders for the soldiers. He's the one that's telling them what to do.
So he's pretty much the one
authority.
That's yes, he's pretty much the one that's premeditating everyone's actions. So it's like he's making them do everything that he has planned. So yeah, malice. I can't get that out of my head. That's a big, strong word.
And not against us in particular, but against the people in general.
Who?
Oh, well, I'll tell you. So it has something to do with who's saying it, which we haven't got there yet.
Okay.
So we'll tie it back in there.
Okay.
In sight of the law is an ingredient in the composition of murder, like premeditated murder. People are being murdered.
Yeah. So
yes. I don't really get that part.
It's hard to understand in some parts of it, But the gist of what I'm getting out of it is, this general or whoever you is, as to you were saying, that's given these malicious rules, malicious orders. There you go. I mean, to like kill all these people or injure them or just get them out of the way, So it's just, it's kind of confusing in a bit of a way. But, yeah.
Last part 2. You will hear from us further hereafter.
You will hear from us further hereafter. And is that implying that
He's implying
there is something coming afterwards.
Yeah,
we're not
done. This is not the end.
Yeah.
Like there will be more.
We're not
to follow.
done. Yeah, we're not done. This is gonna happen more. Yeah. You're gonna get more of this.
I agree.
Yeah.
So it was said by Crispus Attucks, I think I'm saying that right. To Thomas Hutchinson.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely gonna have to tell me a little bit more about both of those.
Okay. You never heard of them before?
No, never heard of them before.
Not a history buff.
No.
Okay. Crispus Attucks was Native American and African descendant. He was a slave for a while, and then he decided that he had worked long enough, and he ran off to I think it was the colonies. This was during the time of the American Revolution. You know the American Revolution?
Yes, I know the American Revolution.
We get independence from Britain.
Yes.
So he was just a big guy. He just fought a lot for independence and equality. He wanted independence and equality.
Mm-hmm.
And the person he said it to was Thomas Hutchinson. He was a loyalist for Britain, and I think he acted as the governor, mayor, something of like a province in the colonies, where Crispus was. And I don't know his name, but is it like that's who said it, which ties back into all the other stuff. But another important fact about Attucks was he was part of the Boston Massacre.
Oh,
he's credited to be like the first guy who died, the first one shot. He's America's first martyr.
Oh,
so he was a big inspiration and like motivator for the American Revolution.
So I could see this kind of escalate.
Which makes sense because of
it does. It does.
You will hear from us further hereafter, following the American
being
Revolution.
a motivational quote. Yeah,
it wasn't intended that way, but it kind of
been used that way. So it makes sense that way.
It's kind of viewed as like a declaration of war for.
Yeah. It's like you ain't heard The Last of Us. We are coming for you.
Sure,
I get that. I get that.
And that's who the who is. Like who we were wounded against us in general is not like it's not like talking about race. It's talking about like the colonies. I mean, it could be talking about race. Segregation was a thing. That's what it's talking about. Like who they wronged, who they wounded is like the colonies who were fighting Britain in the Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
Is it Britain at this time? I don't know.
But it makes sense. It would be like you said, it wasn't meant to be motivational, but soldiers probably reading this and would think that it possibly could be a motivation to, hey, well, don't give up. There's more after this. Even though we're wounded, even though we're hurt, or even though people die, we're still going to fight. So I get that.
Anyway, that's it. I'm done.